To me, skateboarding it's kind of everything all wrapped together. My life, my lifestyle, my passion, my fun, my work.
It kind of puts you in that zone that like you're just like happy all the time. And like the adrenaline is like amazing too, yeah.
It's cool, skateboarding's sick.
Skateboarding is fun. Skateboarding owes no skater anything.
It's a lifestyle.
Skateboarding originated in the late 1950s, early 1960s, when surfers in California figured out a way to ride on concrete. As more people started to skate, it evolved into different forms like freestyle, cruising, street, vert, pools or bowls. They started to build street parks and flow parks. For competitions, there are racing events like skatercross and judged events like street or park, to name a few. But no matter how big skateboarding became, it's always been associated with a culture of rebellion and going against establishment. As it grew, people started to joke about skateboarding becoming an Olympic sport.
Skateboard curling.
Legends like Tony Hawk spoke about it too.
I've heard it's very likely going to be in the 2020 games.
Then, after the Rio Olympics, the International Olympic Committee added 5 new sports for the Tokyo Games.
Baseball and softball, karate, skateboarding, sports climbing, and surfing.
The committee unanimously added the sports, hoping to attract new young athletes to the next competition.
We firmly believe these 5 sports will deliver significant benefits, including enormous worldwide youth appeal.
So now 80 spots will be up for grabs for men and women skaters around the world who want to compete in the next Olympics. But what happens when an activity built on rebellion is included in one of the most structured and regulated sports competitions? In 2014, Tony Hawk did an interview with Larry King where he suggested that skateboarding would probably end up in the Olympics because the Summer Games was lacking the youthful edge that snowboarding provided for the Winter Games. Tony even mentioned a few skaters who he thought would be good contenders for the Olympics, such as
A guy like Mitchie Brusco or Tom Schaar, both of them have broken the 1080 barrier. They've done 3 spins in the air in the last few years. One of the guys I just saw in Australia, Alex Sorgente, he's come into his own in a huge way, and he's going to be a star too.
I grew up with one of those skaters Tony Hawk mentioned. My brother, Alex Sorgente, travels the world to film and compete as a professional skateboarder. When my brother is not traveling the world, he's in Lake Worth, Florida, making his way to local skate parks to practice. He skates almost every day, training hard so he can do well in his competitions. Last year, he earned the title of #1 in the world for park skating.
Describe this experience, brother. I don't understand, man. I'm just so happy to be out here. Thanks to all the fans out here in Sweden. I'm having so much fun.
I'd definitely love to represent my country, like no doubt. Like, going to Olympics would be sick, and I mean, just like the fame you get from being in the Olympics and like notoriety and stuff. It's like it's the biggest stage for a sport event, so it's pretty cool. I mainly do like park skating and some street, and I like to skate everything though. Like I feel like I'm a training skater. Like just go try to skate everything and just try to rip it up and skate as hard as I can.
Alex started skating when he was 6, and he learned fast, riding huge ramps within his first year. He practiced daily on our backyard ramp, traveled to compete in film, By age 13, he started competing in big contests like the Dew Tour and X Games. It wasn't always easy.
I mean, I gave up like the normal life of like a teenage kid. I never went to high school, like I never went to prom or like, but that's okay, like it's cool. I get to travel and like skate and get to do all that stuff too, like meet girls, whatever, you know, do all that cool stuff. But yeah, I've definitely given up, like also with my family and see my little brother, and yeah, so there's stuff you have to give up to be a professional skateboarder, but you know, and everything is what I want to do. So I'm stoked.
Even though Alex is excited about the prospect of Olympic skateboarding, that's not the case for a lot of others who want to see skateboarding stick to its roots and retain its style, individuality, creativity, and rawness. For example, Patrick Eisenhower, a recreational skateboarder since the 1980s, is skeptical about an even more regulated and judged version of skateboarding.
You never stop thinking about skateboarding. Like, you know, you're going on a road trip and you're looking out the car and you're like, oh, look at that spot. And I'm looking at steps and ledges and banks, like, you know, it stays, it's like gets deep in your brain. And then when you actually do it, when you have any kind of success, like you get a little trick on a curb, like something you've never done before, but just some little dumb thing on a curb, the euphoria is absolutely amazing. Skateboarding has kind of been like ours. It's been our weird little thing that we did. And you know, you open it up to a mass market like that, and then there's a backlash against it. It's like, okay, you know, this isn't meant to be in the Olympics. This is meant for us to just, you know, do on our own. Well, I don't think it should be in the Olympics, personally. I don't particularly think skateboarding is a sport, per se. I always have compared it to dance. Like, there's people that dance competitively, but there's a very, very, very small segment of the population. It's going out and doing strange motions and trying to do them gracefully, you know, and it's just, it's play, it's fun, it's not, for most people anyway, it's not a competitive sport.
I went to more skate parks and found that a lot of skaters felt the same way.
When sports like skateboarding go into the Olympics is a very conformed kind of structured event, you know what I mean? Skateboarding is not structured.
Skateboarding is supposed to be yours, so if it's yours, how are you going to really judge other people's perspectives, you know? How can you really say that that's the best? But at the same time, it does do good for the community and does bring out a more optimistic side to like the look of a skater, I guess you could say.
I don't think they're doing a good job, like, because they're trying to make like rules and regulations and stuff, like they're gonna do drug tests, like they're not gonna have any good skaters if they're gonna do that. Like,
just the fact of a drug test in the Olympics is gonna be hard to get a crew of skaters to pass that drug test. Absolutely, absolutely.
There's always a subculture in skateboarding that is gonna be interested in that kind of like format, with like being able to make money and training and taking it more seriously. But I think skateboarding as a whole, its roots are like less structured.
It just seems strange to me, because I mean, when I think of the Olympics, I think of people in like, you know, uniforms, like are they gonna be wearing matching USA shirts and matching Brazil shirts? I think of things like gymnastics, which is in some ways very similar to skateboarding, where you have to do certain tricks for certain points. Is it going to become that restricted where it's like everyone's got to learn to do a double kickflip, because a double kickflip will get you like, you know, 20 points?
So what is skateboarding actually going to look like in the Olympics? I went to Tampa, Florida to meet with Ryan Clements, a skater and the co-founder of The Border, an organization that runs hundreds of skateboarding events and contests around the world. Some of these contests are similar to the plans for Tokyo.
And we're still a couple years out from the Olympics. From what I know and what I've heard, there's gonna be two disciplines. It's gonna be street and park. And the way to get into each one for street is via like Tampa Pro Street League. And then the way to get into park will be via the Vans Park Series, which is like the national championships, continental championships, and then ultimately the Vans Park Series. That's how it's going to be. That's how the skaters are going to be chosen.
The Street League is the largest street skating competition series, with stops throughout the United States and Europe. This shows where competitions were held in 2016. The Vans Park Series is similar, but for park skating, and it branches out into more continents. These competitions are the closest thing to what we can expect to see from an Olympic competition.
Skaters have to be chosen from each of the 5 regions that are represented by the 5 Olympic rings. So it gets really complicated there because there's going to have to be a representative from each one. So even though maybe the best street skater doesn't come from Africa, but there's going to have to be an African representative in the Olympics. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a representation of global skateboarding, which I think is like really rad, to be honest with you.
This is the skateboarding venue as proposed by the International Olympic Committee. It's similar to the Borders Vans Park Series setup, so I asked Ryan if he thinks the Olympics will have a big impact on the way competitions are run.
I think that there's a lashback of skaters going, it's going to ruin skateboarding. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to pay any attention to it. If you want it to enhance your skateboarding experience, it will, because you're going to see a rad contest. The contest is going to be rad no matter what. Uniforms and all that is, I believe it's all to be determined. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that wacky because ISF, International Skateboarding Federation, is technically operated by skaters, and they're not going to let it get that wacky. Why would we do that? Why would we compromise our integrity as skateboarders to be on some stage we don't necessarily need to be on? I believe that we're going to keep that and keep the authenticity as much as possible. It's going to be corny in some ways, of course. Everything when you put it on that scale gets a little corny.
Back in Jupiter, Florida, Alex is training with his friend Zion, who is an amateur-level street skater. Zion hopes to go pro and qualify for the Olympic team for street.
They're taking only 3 skaters from the U.S., so, I mean, yeah, I'll try, so.
Alex and Zion met at this park over 10 years ago and still skate together. Without formal coaching, most skaters like these two get better by hanging out and encouraging each other to try new tricks.
It's the real deal, if you didn't know. This is what we do. Look at it. We just dance and have fun.
But it's not all fun and games. They can spend hours trying a single trick and go through a ton of equipment. I asked Zion what he thinks about Olympic skateboarding.
I think it's just something new and just something that's once in a lifetime for us skaters to experience. So, you know, I'm not upset about it. I just think it's a really cool opportunity that the world has given us the opportunity to, like, show what we do. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. But yeah, obviously people are bummed about it because like that's not like culture based in skateboarding. But yeah, so
it's just because it's a cool thing to like say like, oh nah, like why is skateboarding in the Olympics? Like it's not. It's skateboarding. It's gnarly. It's hash. It's cool. It's not an Olympic sport, you know. Skateboarders, like the top professional skateboarders right now, they would definitely go to the Olympics if they got invited or qualified or whatever.
Beyond giving opportunities to professionals who already train hard, the Olympics can affect others too.
It's going to put skateboarding on this like scale and level that it's currently not on. Let's say, for example, it even happens here in the States, like where parents don't accept skateboarding. It's not a real sport. It's not even. I mean, if it's a sport, that's debatable anyway. But they don't even consider it a legitimate activity. Skateboarding is a legitimate craft and art and sport, or whatever you want to call it. Being in the Olympics is going to give it this credibility that normal people can look at and go, wait, it's in the Olympics? Oh, it is. It will be accepted in a different way. And I think of like third world countries and how inexpensive skateboarding is. And there's some men everywhere in the world. You can ride a skateboard anywhere. Skateboarding is ultimately pretty inexpensive. Kids that never would have skated may be introduced to skateboarding and get the opportunity to live this amazing life via skateboarding. Who would want that to be held back?
It turns out the Olympics can have a major impact on more than just the skaters, but the parks too. like the skate park at the YMCA of the Palm Beaches in Florida. It was built in the late 1990s and is now quite run down and obsolete. Former professional skater and surfer Scott McCrannles has been pushing to get the park rebuilt, but had trouble finding support until he suggested creating an Olympic training facility for skateboarding.
Recently it's come up that we've had some energy in the past year or two to rebuild the park, modernize it, and what really brought new energy and enthusiasm is because Alex Sorgente, who learned to skateboard at the YMCA, won the world championship. So that'll be a place for him to train and practice.
The plan is to completely redesign the park and make it Olympic grade.
The flow bowl and the street course are the main things, and they're all going to be concrete, so it'll be great.
Scott's hoping to start construction soon, using the Olympics as motivation for donors.
A lot of these kids that aren't in team sports, they need a place to go and somewhere safe, and so they aren't out getting in trouble and causing mischief.
Another element of skateboarding that may be affected is coaching. Traditionally, skateboarding is a very individualized activity. I spoke with Andrew Gellis, one of the few skateboarding coaches around New York City.
So, should I fly out again?
We have a fly out, and then think while you're in the air, I'm going to do a 180. You won't get high enough to fly out. You might go 50. Just go for it. Turn it. There, that's better. Just jump off a little later, and then it's going to look like this. You can still get out of it. You don't have to go back in. Cheers and be like, oh, I sort of did it. To get you that one step closer. Yeah, it's sort of a weird thing to say at parties, like, oh, I teach skateboarding. People are like, that's a thing, but if anyone ever tried it, it's good to have a good instructor. I wish I had one for sure. I know a lot of people who want to do it. I think it's going to be a growing thing, and I do think that obviously there are mixed feelings about the Olympics, but if something good comes out of it is that they're teaching skateboarding will become a more acceptable career.
Since the Olympics will include both men's and women's park and street competitions, this could also get more girls on boards, like 10-year-old Zoe Harrison, who already travels for skate demos and competitions.
I really want to try to make the Olympics.
Finally, the governing body of the Olympics now officially makes skateboarding eligible to become a collegiate sport, like soccer, football, or wrestling. I spoke with the Assistant Director of Athletics at NYU about this.
The biggest challenge, I think, would be, do the skateboarders want to be a part of a team? There is a chance of it becoming NCAA varsity sport. These are obviously years down the road. As of right now, I would say no, but things evolve and change over the course of time, and if it becomes one of the more popular sports, that's something that the NCAA will look at.
Yeah, I'd be sick. I'd go back to college if they had skating. I'd get that degree, you know what I'm saying? That'd be sick.
Now that skateboarding is an Olympic sport, a lot could change for the skating world. For my brother, it gives him a new incentive to keep training hard. He hopes to maintain his title as champion by the end of this year's Vanes Park Series.
Skating and surfing are going to definitely change the game in the Olympics. It's going to be sick to see.
But it doesn't have to change everything. Back to Tony's Larry King interview, he may have said it best.
They need skateboarding more than we need them, because skateboarding's popularity is solidified for the most part.
Skateboarding has a culture that's not going anywhere.
And I encourage everyone to skateboard exactly how they want to skateboard. If you want to be in Street League and be a world champion, or be in the Vanes Park Series and be a world champion, I support that, I back that. If you want to build DIY spots under a bridge and skate jersey barriers and film with VXs, I support that too. I think it's rad. So whatever you want to do within skateboarding, do it. I don't think it's going to be that bad. Like, oh, skateboarding's ruined. It's ruined. Like what? You can't go skate now. It's the same exact thing as it always was. And then we're going to forget about the Olympics, and we're just going to go skate as normal.
Good.
Yeah, I fucking answered that question.